All right. I see my best student is here already. Hello, Fritz now.
Hi, Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to hear. I don't know if Astric will join us today. He was not
Uh,
feeling well when I talked with him earlier.
okay,
Um, and we might not have anybody show up. So the one person who expressed interest in coming several times said that he will not be able to come today. So I am willing to simply record this
okay,
and get feedback from you if that's useful to you. Do not
okay,
do this.
correct.
Yeah, don't do this for me, but let me know if you want to continue or you want to wait until next week. I'm more.
No,
You
let's go.
go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. Can you see the shared screen?
Yes, I see.
Okay, great. Then what I'll do is I'll introduce the class as if we had 100 people here. Um, So we're going to be learning English together. This is the first class for the B1 and B2 level. I want to go over the general plan for each week. We start with prayer. We learn 5 new words, 5 new idioms. We talk about American customs. We go over grammar. We have some reading text. We go over pronunciation and we share some video and news. So let me start first with an opening prayer. Father God, we ask you to help us today to learn well and to seek understanding and to have great questions when we don't understand. Give us the grace to learn and to accept that learning is a process and takes time. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Right. So I want to talk about 5 new words. Since this is the B1 and B2 level, I'm going to go into more detail about some of these words and the concepts. So these happen to do with politics. In America, politics can be the focus of many conversations. So it's good to have some of the key terms defined. The first one is the word Congress, which essentially means coming together or parliament. It's a
Mhm.
common word. It's the official body in the United States that creates and defines laws for the United States. So Congress passes a bill in each house. If the two houses agree, the bill goes to the president to sign. The president can decline to sign it. There's a couple of other complicated things that could happen, but essentially the president must sign the bill for it to become law. And when it becomes law, typically it becomes law either immediately or at some point when the bill defines. Representative, there are 2 houses of Congress. There is the House of Representatives and there is the Senate. So a representative is a member of the House of Representatives, which is also the quote unquote lower body of Congress. There is one congressional representative for about every 750,000 Americans. Some states with small populations get just one representative. There is no state that does not get at least one. There are a few states that have populations under that number, but they still get one representative. There are also some non-voting members of the House of Representatives, excuse me. They include the overseas territories and other possessions of the United States, the District of Columbia, which is named as a city, Washington, D.C., also gets a non voting member. And there are 435 members of Congress in the House of Representatives. A senator is a member of the Senate, which is also thought of as the upper body. And each state always gets two and only two. senators, no matter the size of the state's population. There are 50 states, so there are always 100 senators. Governor is the head of an individual state. Governors have no federal power. They are elected to run a state, but they can, if the state allows for it, appoint new representatives or senators when a representative or a senator leaves office before their term of office expires. So that could be through death or resignation or taking another office. For example, one of the senators from Florida was appointed as the Secretary of State. So his role became vacant, and then the governor of that state appointed a person to take over the role of the departed senator. The last one is leader, and I'm using this in the political sense. There are leaders in politics who have control over a specific element of power. I'm defining that kind of broadly. But for example, in the House of Representatives, the leader is called the Speaker of the House. That person is elected by majority vote, and they control the operations of the House of Representatives. They get to appoint the members of the individual committees. They get to appoint the leaders of those committees, which are called chairmen, and they set up the organization for votes on bills and so on. In the Senate, the leader of the Senate is called the majority leader. It's more obviously separated by party designation. Again, the leader is elected by the majority vote, but it's very uncommon for the leader of the Senate to be elected by a minority party. I can't actually think of any instance when that happened. So that's the 5 words I wanted to talk about. Are there any questions about those definitions or what they do? I could talk for hours about this, but I just wanted to give a short introduction.
Very good. No, I don't have any question, but
Sure.
I'm clear about it. Thank you.
Sure. There are, you will see parallels in governing operations in most nations that have been either, well, nations that have been colonized by European nations, because there's a heritage of this form of power. So many nations that have been colonized or set up by European powers will have a similar arrangement for their elected body, which is the representative body. England has a House of Commons and a House of Lords. I don't know every single country, but many countries do have that kind of a system where there is a lower body or an upper body. And of the 50 states in the United States, 49 have a separation of a lower body and an upper body. Only one state has only one legislative body, and that's the state of Nebraska. 5 new idioms. So I picked some idioms that are sports or politics based because, as we know, they're both games, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick a couple of idioms that you might have heard or you might hear in the future. The first one is to hit below the belt. That is an unfair action or response. I use the example here in a sentence. I was running late because my car had a flat tire. When I showed up for the meeting, she pointed out that I had a grease stain on my shirt. That really hit me below the belt, meaning, why would you bring that up? I'm late because I had a mechanical failure in my car. I did everything I could to be here on time. And so you call me out and point out something wrong with me when it was not me that caused the problem. And this comes from the sport of boxing, when you are not allowed to hit someone below the belt. It would be extremely unpleasant and physically damaging if you allowed boxers to hit each other below the belt. So if you hit someone below the belt, you are doing something that's unfair and forbidden by the rules. Any questions about that idiom or how it is used in other contexts?
So, no.
Okay.
to
Then
make a
I'll tell you
I'm
this.
following.
I have very little grasp of Haitian idioms, so I can't tell you if there's something similar in Haiti. I'm a very new student, so if you have a similar one, then you can write that in your notes. I just don't know it.
Okay, okay.
The ball is in your court, which means I've done all that I can do. Now you have to do your part. And the sentence example is Mr. Smith, I've set up your appointment for next week. You must be sure that you fill out the application form. The ball is in your court, meaning take care of this on your own. So this comes from the sport of tennis. I need to, I forgot to do this. I can't. Sorry. I can't turn this ringer off. Sorry about that. The sport of tennis, when you hit your ball from your side of the playing surface, which is your court, you hit it over to your opponent's side, which is their court. Each side is a court, and the entire playing surface is the tennis court. So when the ball is in your court, it means you have to deal with what's coming your way. Here comes the ball. Are you going to hit it or miss it? And so, as an idiom, it means you need to take care of this yourself because no one else is going to help you. Any questions about that idiom?
Yes. No, no.
Okay.
No, I understand that
Okay.
that idiom expression. So because in Creole in Haiti, they used to use it a lot when they say like in Creole, they would say ballon en pied, dégageau, dégageau. It's like you're in a situation and there it's like you have your back on the walls, you're in a situation you don't know what to do, and they say, dégage au ballon en pied. Fais ça
Okay.
qu'on est. Yeah. It's like that, yeah.
Yeah. Every culture will have idioms that represent a similar idea, I can imagine, but they use
Yeah, yeah.
a different thing to illustrate that. So the third idiom you might hear, and this comes from American history of all things, is the jump on the bandwagon to go along with the popular movement. And the definition I have here, or the example, is everyone is buying the newest iPhone. I guess I'll have to buy one also. I misspelled two there, and jump on the bandwagon. So in politics in America in the past, political rallies and parades were led by bands playing lively patriotic music. And these bands were pulled through the parade route on a wagon. The political supporters would follow this bandwagon to show their support for a candidate or party. So, this is a way to show if you believe in a movement or a political candidate or a political party, you follow behind the people who are leading the parade, making all the noise. So, that's where this expression comes from to jump on the bandwagon. You are going to get up there as well, and you're going to play the music with the band. So when you say everyone's doing this, I might as well do it too. That's jumping on the bandwagon. Is that clear? Make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. I'm
Okay,
clear. Thank you.
sure. This next one might not be necessary to define, but I'll define it anyway. To knock it out of the park. It's almost self-explanatory, but it means to hit the ball so hard that it flies outside the ballpark, which means to perform exceptionally well and exceed the boundaries. So the chef's dessert was so incredibly tasty, he really hit that one out of the park. So in the sport of baseball, the batter tries to hit the baseball with their bat. When they do hit the ball, that ball can go nearly anywhere in the playing field, which is called the ballpark. And if the player is strong enough, the ball might fly outside the boundaries of the ballpark. So they hit the ball out of the ballpark. Any questions about that?
No, no, I don't have any
It's
question.
one of the few sports that I can think of that you do better when you hit the ball outside the playing field. So this doesn't
Yeah.
work for soccer or football or for tennis or for basketball. All those sports demand that you play inside the field, but baseball lets you hit it outside and is considered a good thing. As long as,
Baseball too.
yes,
Baseball
baseball.
also. Yeah.
As long as it's not outside the foul lines, but as long as it's inside the foul lines, it can go over the
Yeah.
fence. Yeah. Every sport has different rules, which they work, they
Yes.
work. On the ball, number 5. To be alert, to be focused, to be ready. This also might be self-explanatory, but I'll explain it anyway. Even though Karen got her mid-semester assignments late, she turned it in on time with well-written recommendations. She's really on the ball with her schoolwork. And that comes from a sports metaphor of American football, where each side tries to get possession of that football to carry it down the playing surface, the football field, to their own end, which is the end zone. It's important to always know where the football is, who has it, and who will catch it when it's thrown. So that's used to explain to someone who's focused on the real goal and is pursuing that goal directly and not being distracted by other things. Other sports use this idiom as well, such as basketball and baseball, but it applies mostly to American football. I don't know if that was something you never knew, but I thought I'd bring it up. Any questions about those idioms?
No, I'm clear, so
All right,
I'll try to learn them
that's great.
to know them very well. But I know the ball is in my court right
Yeah, very good. Very good.
now.
I
Yeah.
think I have this in my cart. No, I don't have it available. I have a book that I got. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's my New Testament. I have a book of Haitian idioms that I got about a year ago, and there's hundreds of them. So I can imagine there are hundreds of American idioms that you'll have to learn as you go along. They might not make
Okay.
sense until you understand the context, just as the Haitian idioms to me don't make sense until someone explains to me what it means.
Okay.
All right, I had no American customs this week to talk about, and to be honest, it's because I ran out of time. So we'll cover American customs next week. But I did want to talk about grammar because this came up in our class on Monday, and that was the idea of a participle. Um, a participle is used as a verb form that indicates continuous action. And we have an idiom called, let's put a pin in that, meaning we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But as a side note, a participle form looks the same as another form of a word that's a noun. So there are nouns that have the ing form, which we will talk about later. But for right now, we want to talk about the verb form participle.
Okay.
So the example in present tense, Tom hit the ball with his bat. Tom performed an action. He swung the bat, then hit the ball with an immediate short action. So he wasn't hitting the ball, he hit it. If you play sports, you know that there's a swift and immediate action when you catch or hit or strike or throw. It's a quick action. So here's an example of the participle form. After Tom hit the ball with his bat, he was running from one base to the next. Paul performed an action that occurred over time, which was running. He was running around the field. He was running from base to base. He was running home. We're talking about baseball. So it's a verb form that indicates continuous action. And I have 3 simple forms for the participle in use for past, present, and future. For present, Tom is running. It's called an auxiliary verb, that to be verb. It's a helper verb that goes with participles. Tom was running. For the future, Tom will be running. Those are all actions that are continuous in the moment, but they could be continuous in the past or continuous in the future. Any questions about that, about the participle form of a verb?
No, no, I have no question.
Okay, in many instances in American English, the participle form is used when the simple present could be used. Most people don't make a distinction between the two word forms. Um, it's hard for me to give you examples of when this happens because it's so common. Just kind of be used to it, that the participle form is very popular in American English. The next thing I want to show here is the reading text, which I thought I had ready to go here, but I do not. Give me just one moment here. All right. I'd saved all these things into one place. Here it is. This is an easy reading. So I wanted to give an example of some reading, and I've got some information about it here. This is a short lesson to read out loud. So what we can do is, if you want to try reading this out loud, or I can give you the example first. It's got some good words in here to talk about and some difficult words. So what do you feel like doing? Do you feel like reading it yourself, or you want me to read it?
Let me read it.
Okay, great.
Let me read it myself. Okay. Okay.
If you want to, I can send you the file.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
My day. I am 12 years old and a pupil. In the morning, I wake up a little before 7 a.m. I get up 5 minutes later and go to the bathroom first. I wash my face, then I shower. First, very warm, and at the end, with cold water, brushing my teeth is also a must. Then I get dressed. I never skip breakfast. I am hungry in the morning. Most of the time, I eat cereals or toast with jam. I drink tea or coffee. Before I go to school, I have to make my bed. Then I run off to my school bus. After school, I have lunch at the canteen and come home in the afternoon. Then I usually have to do homework. I have time to play or meet friends before dinner. Then we have dinner together. I watch a little TV before I go to bed. Then I go to sleep and sleep from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Good. That was good. You shouldn't be in this class. You should be
Why?
teaching this class. You speak very well. There's,
Thank you.
there's the only thing I would recommend here, because you've got really good pronunciation here, and that
Thank
would
you.
be learning to speak in the rhythm of American English, and that just takes time.
Hello.
Oh, there you are, Astrid. Astrid.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. Right now, I am on my way to go home right now because I was talking to the pastors. The
Oh,
pastors, yeah, I just finished, and now I'm on my way to go home.
well, I'm glad you're here. We'll talk after this if you want. I'd like to know more about what your pastor said. But for right now, we're going to continue with the class.
Okay, no problem.
My best student, Fritz Nell, just did a great job
Oh
reading.
my God.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's trying to
Yeah.
replace me as teacher.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
All right. I do want to point out something that I had forgotten was in this text, and I don't know if you spotted it, but the word brushing my teeth, that word brushing is not a participle. So if you want to make a note of that, we'll talk about that word form later. I don't want to get into it too much, but it is not a participle, because you can't say, I am brushing my teeth is also a must. So it's another verb form, or another word form that looks like a verb, but it's actually a noun. So we'll talk about that later. I wouldn't have used this if I saw that before. All right.
Yes.
Let's answer some questions. At what time do you get up?
7
7,
7 a.m.
yeah, before 7 a.m. Good. What do
Yeah.
you do then?
Brushing my then shower. I shower first.
No,
Let's
it
see.
says
Go to
first
the
right
bathroom.
here.
Yeah.
Uh,
The bath, the
So,
bathroom first.
so that
Yes.
you can,
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
yeah, you know this. I don't even need to ask you this question. Asterisk though needs help. So we're helping Asterisk here.
Okay.
oh my God.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I may be
Oh.
70, but I'm 12 years old.
Yeah. What if smell uh biomassy like
Oh, why? I'm not
yeah.
lying. No.
What if
Which
I
lie?
wake up at 5 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Future statement at
Yes,
5 a.m.
I wake up at 5 a.m. in the
Yeah, well,
morning.
this is Anne. Anne is not that old. Anne is a student, so we'll give Anne a pass for sleeping late.
I know.
That's good. You guys, you guys are great. Okay, thinking of you being Anne, what does Anne have for breakfast?
It's up to brother Astrid to answer.
Asterisk, you can answer this question. What does Anne usually have for breakfast? If you can't read it, I'll give you the answer. She usually eats,
She's usually eat cereal.
yes, or
Uh, toast. Oh, how can I say that?
toast.
Toast. Okay.
Toast. It's a long
Toast.
O, toast.
Toast.
Oh,
Okay. Toast with jam.
Jam, jam.
Jam.
Yeah, I apologize for English spelling.
Wow.
All right, good. How does Anne get to school?
Oh.
I'm pointing at it.
Oh. Then I would have to my school bus.
Yes,
She take a bus.
exactly. She takes a bus. The idiom run off just means she runs to. Um, there's a lot of these extra prepositions used as adverbs in English that aren't really necessary, but they add a little bit of shading to a word, and it just takes a lot of practice to understand how to use them. If you hear the phrase, then I run to my school bus, that's a slightly different meaning than what I run off to my school bus. One has the implication of I run to my school bus with the idea that I might be late. The other is I run off to my school bus, meaning this is just what I do to get there. It's more of a idiom. You're not literally running, but you're saying I go there. I'm going to run home. Let me go run some errands. I literally am not running. I'm going to go do them. So, Lordy, this is not a simple text. This is supposed to be an elementary text, and it's not. All right, that's good. Canteen is a word that's used here that we don't use much in American English. It just means in the cafeteria or the place where food is distributed. Let's see here. What what do you do when you come back from school?
Mhm.
I have it highlighted here. After school,
Yeah, after school, I have lunch at the cabin
canteen.
and come home. Katie,
Yeah,
K. Oh, canteen,
canteen. Yeah, canteen is accented on the second
canteen.
syllable. Yep,
Okay, canteen and come home in the afternoon.
yep, that's great. Okay, any comments you want to make about this before I go to the previous texts?
uh, uh, brother Astrid like canteen. You used to like canteen, brother Astrid, when you were in high school.
You're telling me all the
Oh,
secrets here. That's great.
Yeah, is that correct, Brother Astrid? But
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. His favorite
I
subject.
used to
well,
like it.
sometimes
I
I
used
don't.
to like it.
So, yeah, sometimes I don't know what I like.
Oh, good goodness. You two
Okay.
talking smack about each other. I did want to talk about some of the English words that have a difficult spelling and pronunciation. So this came up in a previous class, and I wanted to go over it because this is B1 and B2. So I call these 5 words the 5 English devils. The word is tough, which is difficult, through, which means to go from one end to the other, though, which means even if, thorough, which means completely done, and thought, which is an idea. What do you see that's common in all these words?
Uh,
For me,
Look,
mhm.
uh,
looking at the
all right, Mr.
spelling,
Though and thou, but I think
yeah. What's common about
So,
the spelling?
Running errands.
All right. If you heard that, my wife just said
mm,
she's running errands. So there, she's using the.
oh,
She's gone now. I wanted to point out that
um,
this is the example of the inconsistency of English spelling and English pronunciation. So one is tough, difficult. This is a tough class. This steak is tough. My job is tough. It's difficult. Through, it's long use sound, through, to go from one end to the other. Though, even if, thorough, completely done, and thought. They all have the cluster of O-U-G-H, and it's pronounced in different ways. So I have a little explanation about where this comes from. The O-U-G-H cluster used to represent a sound that we no longer have much in English. It's kind of a man. You have kind of a guttural roll in your throat when you say the vowel sound. And somewhere around the 1600s to the 1700s in English, that sound kind of dropped out of common use. So we don't really use it anymore. But we decided, in ways that make no sense to me, to use that cluster of letters to represent different sounds. And so this is one of the difficult spellings of English I wanted to bring up. And I can only say this: you have to memorize these words. There's no other way to look at these words if you don't know them and be able to sound them out correctly unless you've memorized them. You could not look at tough and through and think that those two words have some relationship in sound to each other. They just don't. When I say though and thorough, those have a similar sound, but you don't really recognize that because you see the thorough doesn't give you an idea. And then thought, of course, is different than though because it's got that T at the end. So I wanted to bring those up, tell you a little bit about it. Just have to memorize some of these more difficult words. Many English words do have predictable spellings, excuse me, and predictable sounds. We use them in elementary school. For example, we might say the cat sat on a mat. Those all have predictable spellings and predictable sounds. So in primary education, you'll see these words used to teach reading, and they can give you some predictable ways of understanding how something is pronounced. And that will lead to an understanding of English as a phonetically spelled language, which for simple words and many common words is true. But as you increase your vocabulary and as you increase your exposure to the English conversational language, you will find that the spelling rules start becoming more difficult to understand. And there's a long, complicated set of reasons for it. One of them is that English spelling really wasn't formalized until somewhere in the 1700s at the invention of the printing press. But before that, English pronunciation was shifting already. And so the spelling rules that were invented to spell words in English didn't actually accurately capture even then what the true sounds were. And as the language shifted in its pronunciation over time, the spelling didn't. So that's an explanation for why many words have unpredictable spellings or spellings that don't make sense. Any questions about that? I can only apologize. I can't tell you it's ever going to be fixed. It's an interesting, go ahead.
No question. You can.
Yep. So it's an interesting situation here. I can think of no other language that has this cultural event called a spelling bee, where we teach children competitively how to spell words by having a contest where students get up in front of a room and the person leading the contest gives them a word, and the student has to spell it correctly, letter by letter, and sound it out correctly to win that round. And so what happens is, as the children all go through a round each time, they increase the difficulty of the words in spelling until the students are spelling words that have very little connection with their sound. I don't think that you would have that in Haitian Creole, because you have invented a rational language where every sound has one spelling and every spelling has one sound. English is an irrational language. So it's just something that we do. We have spelling bees. They're called a spelling bee because it refers to busyness. We also have things like a quilting bee, when women come together to put quilts together. A spinning bee, when people come together to turn wool, wool or cotton into yarn or thread. An apple bee, which is when you pull people together to pick the apples or harvest the fruit. And a husking bee, which is when men come together to harvest grains. But the actual word comes from the word to mean boon or bane, which means help. We don't often use the word boon anymore, and we don't use the word bane anymore to mean help, but that's where the word comes from. The interesting fact about this, in the early years of the American colonization, there was an attempt to both teach literacy and regularize American spelling to be better than the spelling of the British Empire. So Benjamin Franklin, who was a prolific inventor, he was not ever a member of the federal government except as an ambassador to France. So he was not elected president. He was never senator. He was never a judge. He was an individual citizen, but he was someone who performed a lot of duties in the early years of America to create standards we still follow today. For example, the glasses I have, which are called bifocals, meaning there's two different sets of lenses for each lens, one to see close and one to see far. He invented those. The rocking chair was invented by Benjamin Franklin. The American penny, which is a coin, the smallest denomination in use today, which is a copper coin. And he invented a stove called the Franklin stove. He was also a printer and a scientist. So he invented the spelling bee because he wanted kids to be able to learn to spell correctly so that they would be literate. Any questions about that, Trip, about spelling and sound?
I have no question, but I can say Franklin was a genius.
He really was.
When, yes, not only a president.
Yeah. He is honored by being the face on the $100 bill.
Okay,
So
good.
he's one of the few people on American currency that is not a president. I don't know them all, to be honest. I know them up to the $100, maybe the 500 might be Wilson, but the American $10 bill has Alexander Hamilton on it. He was also never president. He was someone who helped invent the American banking system, among other things. And fun fact about Alexander Hamilton, he actually had Caribbean heritage. He's one of our influences in America who comes from Haiti. Another influence from Haiti was DuSable, who founded the city of Chicago. So we have Haitian influence in our culture that we often don't remember. I picked some audio files to go through, and I wanted to go through one that was a short news article about a university for people to learn for free. This was on the news last week, and I got the transcript from it so that we can listen to it while listening to or reading the transcript. So I'm going to turn on the video here. I think this is the right one. I probably can do this side by side. That's right, I can. On here. I don't know if you can read all this, but it's in the curriculum, so you can read it later, but I did want to go through this. So this is a discussion about Hillman University. It is a digital HBCU, according to this article. So I want to explain what an HBCU is. When America was first founded, up through the 20th century, the Americans did not think that Black Americans were worthy to be educated. And so in the later half of the 19th century, the American government set up these special colleges for Black Americans called HBCUs, which stands for Historically Black College and University. And those are universities that were focused on educating Black Americans in the same way that they would get educated at white universities. America's past and present, unfortunately, still has a deep racial divide, and HBCUs were one way to help people who couldn't go to most colleges and universities to get a quality education. So many famous Black Americans went to HBCUs, and they are cultural centers for Black people in America. They help transmit Black culture to new generations, and they are places for Black people to feel safe and excel without the stigmata that stains America with racism. So I think it's good to tell you the truth and tell you what's going on. That's what an HBCU is. If you don't know what Hillman is, it comes up in this article, but Hillman is a university that was created in a television series. It comes from originally the Bill Cosby show. One of the characters started going to Hillman University, and so that's where it comes from. This university was created to be presented on TikTok So they call it the Hillman University. That gives you good background here. I think everything else in this transcript explains things to you. So I'll play the video and then we can read along with the transcript.
Think of it as a digital HBCU with a student body of over 300,000. Welcome to Hillman University.
Hello, Hillman Talk students. I am Professor Torre. Welcome to the prehistory of hip hop.
Hi, my name is Dr. Isaacs, and welcome to Organic Chemistry 1.
Bonjour, chers étudiants de la Hillman University. I am Prof. Letty, your French teacher here.
Hillman University is really a space where a lot of Black academics are coming together
to teach classes on just about everything, some 400 classes in all, offered by experts like Dr. Leah Barlow, who teaches at North Carolina A&T State University.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Introduction to African American Studies for the spring semester.
That post of hers back in January unintentionally sparked a movement.
So this was actually accidental. I posted something for my actual students in my course. I was just looking for a way to engage, but this launched something that is much bigger than me now.
In about a week, her class size for Intro to African American Studies grew from 35 students to almost 4 million.
This coming week, we'll be looking at Donald Glover's This Is America, the music video, and analyzing the lyrics of the song.
But Sierra Hinton really formalized Hillman Talk.
Good morning, Hillman Talk.
And she named it after the fictional Hillman College from the 80s sitcom A Different World.
I've always wanted to go to Hillman.
And now she can, in lectures posted on TikTok.
We don't want to exclude education or information to anyone that is willing to learn from anyone that is willing to teach.
Hinton is a 6th grade teacher in Georgia, and after seeing Dr. Barlow's post, got to work immediately, linking all the courses through one website, even launching a school store.
The amount of people that said that they wanted to go to college, but for whatever reason, finances, life, I'm too old, that's no longer an issue here at Hillman Talk.
While this is an unaccredited and totally symbolic social media university, it provides a free academic community with a network of Black educators. At a time when federal programs that promote diversity are being taken away.
I know that a lot of people are concerned with the state of our country, but as long as we as a people just lean on each other, that's all that we can do.
But there's still a lot of questions with the uncertainty of TikTok's future.
Have you all spoken about how you can survive Hillman Talk University if the platform of TikTok goes away?
Well, yes, I think the main thing has been to make sure that the information is posted in other places and not just on TikTok.
We have contingencies upon contingency.
Until then, class is in session.
Make sure you got your pen and your paper and you're ready to take notes.
Instagram, that sounds pretty good too. Maya Eaglin joins us now. Maya, okay, so what courses are offered at Hillman, and when are you going to start teaching there? Because like all you do is teach me stuff.
I know. I would love to start my own course, but right now there's something for everyone, Gotti. We have finance, we have business, we have creative arts, film studies, jazz. Some of them even have hilarious names. There's a culinary class called We Got Food at Home, which I think is so funny. But yeah, there's something for everyone on there.
And how do people take a course and how do people teach a course?
So a lot of people who are hosting these courses or teaching them are just posting straight to TikTok. But if you want to see the actual formalized course list, you'll have to go to their website, which is hillmantalkhbcu.com. I should mention, Gotti, there was a little bit of drama over the official account in the last week or so. The original team told me they got blocked out. So the new username on TikTok is the Hillman Talk University, and they're working to kind of build back that student community right now. Gotti.
It would be the internet without a little bit of drama. But it's crazy, like a syllabus almost through hashtags and course offerings. What has been the reaction online?
Like everything, a little mixed, but I would say definitely leaning towards positive. A lot of people have expressed gratitude for having access to this type of educational community, something they thought maybe wouldn't be possible in their lifetime. There are some other people who are saying, hey, this actually isn't really legit, or it doesn't feel inclusive. And when I asked Sierra about that criticism, she says the mission of Hillman Talk is so much bigger than some of these negative comments, and they're really, really focused on the future. Gotti?
Yeah, focus on education. Maya Eaglin, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. That was the clip I wanted you to listen to. I strongly encourage you to listen to it again while reading the transcript so that you hear the cadence of American English speech. And also, if you read the transcript and you come across something that doesn't make sense, I'd really like you to make a note of it somehow so we can talk about it in the next class, because there are some terms in here that might not be familiar, and there are some cultural references to Black life in America that you might not understand. And obviously, I don't know everything, but I do know some things, so I can help you understand some of these comments. Any questions about that or comments?
No, I have no question.
Okay. I have a recap that I'm not going to play in class. Go ahead, Astrid.
No, I have no question.
Okay.
For now.
All right. It's important for you to learn the way American English sounds, so you get that cadence right, so that you, so you understand to get that rhythm and that tone and that familiarity in your speech if you want to sound like a native speaker. I have the Super Bowl 59 recap, which you can listen to on your own. It's 7 minutes. I wanted you to listen to that to hear another newscast. And this newscast actually has pretty good English in it. And then I also have a link to some music, which I'm not going to play because we're getting close to time. And that is a song called Gyra, which is done by Elevation Worship. I encourage you to listen to that and read along with the words. And I wanted to point out that this would be an example of casual English. For example, if you look at these lyrics that are on the screen right now, in the second paragraph, he's using the word going through a storm. You might hear that sometimes said gonna go or going through a storm. He pronounces it a little more crisply here. So you'll hear some of this in this song. And this has got my favorite cluster of vowels here, the O-U-G-H. So forever enough, always enough, more than enough, and so on. So I wanted you to get a chance to see that word. And a lot longer than I remember it. That's like 5 pages of text here. All right, and questions for next week, don't answer them right now. I want you to answer them next week. The first question is, what is a participle? And I want you to give me an example of a participle in a sentence. And I wanted you to review that video and transcript for Hillman Talk University. It mentions something about TikTok, and I wanted you to tell me next week if you've heard anything about a threat to TikTok being available in the United States. And if you heard about the threat, explain to me in English why you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. And then any other questions about the video, and that'll be next week's class. So any thoughts or comments you want to make before we close this class?
But I can say I don't have any question for next class, but as we learned from today, but I think we are going to focus on the lesson today and next class to be clear and to have answer to the Hillman Talk, the university on TikTok, and to discuss about it and the questions also.
Okay, great. Well, you're both doing great in English, so you should be teaching the class, but I'll keep doing it because my name's on it.